In this video, we're going to look at the inventory control transaction definitions. Sage Intacct uses transaction definitions to define the accounting settings, workflow rules, and other configuration settings that determines the transactions behavior. Transaction definitions are used throughout the system in your purchasing transactions, inventory, and order entry transactions. When configuring inventory control, there are default inventory control transaction definitions, and with those transaction definitions you will choose which one will best suit your business requirements. I'm going to navigate to inventory control, all transactions, and these are the transaction groups. There are a number of transaction definitions within each group. Because the inventory control works hand in hand, or it's integrated with the order entry and the purchasing modules, some of these transactions you won't be using, like your inventory shipping and inventory receipt. I'm going to go to setup, transaction definitions, and these are all the inventory control transaction definitions in this system. You will need to deactivate or inactivate some of the transaction definitions that you won't be using so that you don't get confused. New transaction definitions can be added to best suit your business requirements. We have the template names, the description, the workflow category, and the inventory effect. What we're going to focus on here is the inventory effect of the transaction definitions. We're going to look at the adjustment increase quantity value, and the description is adjustment increase quantity value, which affects cost. This works in a case where you have received goods at certain price and you haven't received the invoice, but at the moment the invoice comes in, it's at a different price. For example, when you received the goods, the price was £100, but when you got an invoice for those goods, it was 110. Then you will have to adjust the quantity value of that item. So I'm going to edit this transaction. I'm going to scroll down to inventory control section. This is where you will define how the inventory should be affected. So we have the inventory total, which is on hand, the maintain quantity and value, and to add or subtract. So your transaction definition will need to have the inventory control effect. So it's on hand, damaged, in transit, on hold, on order, requisitioned, scrap, or spoilages. So these are the inventory effects or totals that are available, but you can still add new if you have a different inventory total that you use in your business. And then on the maintain, what should it affect? Should it affect the quantity, the value, or the quantity and value? It is recommended that with the transaction definitions that you'll be using to get accurate costing, you are recommended to affect both the quantity and value so that the system will be able to determine the correct cost. System doesn't behave very well when affecting just the quantity or just the value. Then you will have discrepancies on your item costs. You can select whether you're adding or subtracting the quantity and value. Most reports that you find in the system look at transaction definitions that affect both the quantity and value. Scrolling down, you will define the accounting settings for the transaction posting. You can either post to the general ledger or not to post at all. Add custom transaction definitions that you will be using for your inventory control. Those are the inventory control transaction definitions.